Work of Now. It is Thursday, September 3rd, 2020, and we are talking this morning about the GOP's full-scale assault on voting rights. Now, yesterday was a doozy of a day. So today we've learned that the United States House of Representatives has issued a subpoena for U.S. Postmaster General DeJoy, Louis DeJoy, about the widespread mail delivery delays happening across the United States just ahead of the November election. Good morning, Mark Goldman. Good morning, everybody who's joining. We are talking about the GOP's full-scale assault. Good morning, Jack Berry. About the onslaught of ballots that are coming in before the November election via vote by mail, U.S. Postmaster General DeJoy has been called via a subpoena before Congress to discuss this. Representative Carolyn Maloney has said that DeJoy didn't sufficiently answer the questions that the panel provided and asked of him when he appeared before them earlier about a week ago. So this is coming amidst Donald Trump yesterday urging North Carolina voters to illegally vote twice to test the state's mail-in system for vote-by-mail ballots. So the President of the United States is encouraging people to illegally cast two ballots. This is coming after months of Donald Trump criticizing vote-by-mail systems and saying that they promote voter fraud, and really insinuating that the only way that Democrats can win the election is if they steal it and cheat. Groovy John says dictator Manuel Noriega of Panama made thousands of votes disappear. Now, I don't know if the Trump administration has the power to make ballots disappear, although I would never put anything past them. He has been spending months criticizing vote by mail and voting by mail and saying that it's a system that promotes voter fraud. Now, the studies on this have already been done. The President of the United States is lying when he says that vote by mail systems promote voter fraud. So a study by the Heritage Foundation showed that overall election fraud is very rare. A database of election fraud reports maintained by the conservative Heritage Foundation reports that about 1,200 allegations of voter fraud have happened since 2000, and of the year 2000, and of those allegations, there were 1,100 criminal convictions for voter fraud. So if you consider the fact that hundreds of millions, if not over 1 billion ballots have been cast since 2000, that is very concerning that the president would imply that there's voter fraud when we have literally a fraction of a percentage point of allegations that happen. So of those, only 204 allegations and 143 convictions total of any ballot cast since the year 2000 involved mail-in ballots. So vote-by-mail ballot fraud is even more rare than voter fraud, general voter fraud. So that's a tiny fraction of the roughly, 250 million mail-in ballots that were cast over 2 decades. So again, only 143 convictions for vote-by-mail fraud out of 250 million mail-in ballots cast over 2 decades, according to the conservative Heritage Foundation. So it's extremely rare that in states that rely primarily on vote by mail that this happens at all. So I'm getting some comments this morning. Noriega must have taught Hillary how to make things disappear. Well, she surely couldn't make that 3 million. People talk about Hillary Clinton as if 3 million ballots were cast on her behalf. She won the national popular vote in 2016 by about 3 million votes. So, but if she had that much power, she'd be president. So keep trying on that one. Hell, the Dems can't even win when they do try to cheat. Ask Hillary, says Sassy B. Wolfpack. Right. I don't know what the point of cheating would be if you don't win. But Hillary Clinton did win more votes than any other presidential candidate in American history, second only to President Barack Obama, whose 2012 total she effectively tied. So, yes, Hillary Clinton, the national popular vote winner. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Sassy B. Wolfpack, because we have we will talk about the 2016 election. And in fact, let's just talk about it now. Exit poll data showed that Hillary Clinton won states like North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Florida, states that she ended up losing in the computerized vote counts. So this is sort of a hard discrepancy to explain, and we will explain it in a second. But I want to first talk about the voter cross-check system that happens across the United States, headed up mostly by Republican secretaries of state. In 2016, they instituted a voter purge, where they purged voters from voter rolls because they claim either the person has died or moved out of state. But the problem is that Republican secretaries of state, what they were doing is they were pairing names without ages or middle initials, and they were saying that Joe Brown from Wisconsin is the same Joe Brown from Michigan, even if the middle initial or age of the individual was different. So those voters were purged from the rolls. Now, what was happening is that voters were showing up to the polls on election day who were registered, but they had been purged because of these voter purges, because of the voter cross-check system. And they would cast their ballot, they would go to cast their ballots, and they would be told that their name wasn't on the voter roll. So they would cast a provisional ballot. Now, the preliminary studies of this have been done, and in 2016, there were about 3 million validly cast, legally cast provisional ballots that were thrown out, because what many people don't know is that provisional ballots are not usually counted unless there's a great deal of follow-up, which would explain why voters would show up to the polls, leave, tell exit pollers that they had voted for Hillary Clinton. The exit polls would show that she won states like North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Florida, and then the votes were not counted in the overall tallies. So we also know that Wisconsin voter ID laws suppressed 200,000 votes in 2016 in Wisconsin. So 2016, Wisconsin voter ID laws suppressed 200,000 votes. Now, Donald Trump won Wisconsin by 22,748 votes in Wisconsin. So this is an overall assault on voting rights by the GOP. And Trump now saying that people in North Carolina, a state that he is probably favored to win, should vote twice. Now, this could really be for one of two reasons. One is to throw the system into so much chaos that it muddies the waters about who the overall victor is, or it supplies him a victory through illegal voting, something that he has said people should not do. His justification for this is that people should, quote, test whether or not the systems promote vote-by-mail fraud. So the president is encouraging people to illegally vote in order to disprove voter fraud. It makes no sense. So you're saying the votes were tampered with in 2016, but 2020 will be just fine. I didn't say that the votes were tampered with. I said that people cast provisional ballots that were not counted, and that would account for the discrepancy in the exit poll data and the data of the computerized vote tallies. Vote Blue says Princess Funny. Groovy John, the anti-Hillary people get their info from Fox News. Yes, indeed. Baseball. Yeah, cheaters never win. It says baseball, 1966. Cheaters never win. Well, I would sure hope not, because it seems like the GOP has launched a full-on assault on voting rights. Now, Trump encouraging people to lie, to cast fraudulent ballots in North Carolina is one thing. Now, Attorney General Bill Barr then gets up before CNN's Wolf Blitzer last night in an interview, and it was a truly deranged performance that was shocking from what is the nation's highest law enforcement official. So Bill Barr said on Wednesday that logic, quote, logic dictates that foreign countries could try to manipulate the mail-in voting process in the 2020 election. He really didn't elaborate on that, and he admitted to Wolf Blitzer that he has seen no evidence to back up that claim. So he's just throwing conspiracy theories out there, just like the president, who spouts QAnon and, like 100 Tabs says, he or she gets her news from InfoWars, also a conspiracist, not news website. So it's altogether very concerning when Bill Barr, the Attorney General, is spouting conspiracy theories along with the president, has nothing to back up those claims. Barr and Trump have repeatedly pushed false theory that increased mail-in voting during COVID-19. will lead to widespread voter fraud. As we just went over, the voter fraud studies have been done, that it's not a thing. It doesn't happen. Very rare, only 143 convictions for vote by mail fraud since the year 2000. And then studies have also shown that it's highly unlikely for hostile foreign powers to meddle in the election by producing counterfeit ballots. Their efforts are happening online. The Russian attempts to meddle with the election is happening online. It's an online attempt. I would be much more concerned about what they are doing with hacking Michigan databases with voter rolls and getting the information of voters in Michigan and selling that information on the dark web, which is something that was reportedly happened earlier this week, though it's unclear just exactly when it was happening. It's happening in this election cycle. So Republicans have been all the way quiet and mute about this election interference by the Russians, again, as they did in 2016, as 17 intelligence agencies confirmed, as the Mueller report confirmed, as the bipartisan Senate panel confirmed. Russia interfered in the 2016 election, and we know that they are trying to attempt to interfere with the election now by supporting Donald Trump and putting out negative messaging against Joe Biden. So the Trump administration's director of national intelligence, Republican appointee John Radcliffe, will no longer brief members of Congress about this interference. So now we're not going to even have any security briefings or information from the Trump administration about the attempts to circumvent our democracy. So all in all, it's a very concerning time for voting rights in the United States. It does not seem like the Republican Party is very interested in protecting voting rights, either through their silence, which is complicity, or through any election security bills. Now, the very first bill out of the current Congress in 2018, after Democrats took power during the mid-2018 midterm elections, the very first bill in that Congress was H.R. 1, which is a Voting Rights Act, a bill and they've been trying to push a bill to protect elections security. So it's altogether a very troubling time, and let's see what happens. We've got 61 days till Election Day. And hopefully United States citizens of all political persuasions are able to vote. They're able to vote safely. As we know, voting is one of the cornerstones of American democracy, and everyone, red, white, blue, or anywhere in the middle, should be able to vote. So thank you so much for joining us this morning on the AM Report with Alex Mahajer for HAPS News, the network of now. We are live every weekday morning at 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. If you like this journalism, if you'd like to sponsor or support it, please consider buying me a cup of coffee. You can visit me at haps.tv/@Alex Mahajer. I've got this one for today, but tomorrow morning